Hi everyone, welcome back to the Off the Bar podcast. Today I'm here with Ben, and we're going to discuss some NBA bubble stuff, ESPN's championship predictions, where Mario Chalmers might end up, the new Barbershop that has been memed, and Ben wants to go a little bit into Philadelphia. So just to start things off, ESPN put out their championships predictions about a couple days ago, about 4 or 5 days ago. And to be honest with you, it's a little confusing as to how they came up with this. I'm assuming it's based on probably teams with the hardest schedule going into the playoffs, and obviously some teams have a harder schedule than others, and obviously teams are going to have a more difficult time, especially when they have players either sitting out due to protesting the bubble or because of the safety of their general safety because of the pandemic. So, with that being said, looking down this list, Milwaukee with 42%, LA with the Lakers with 18%, Toronto with 12%, the Clippers with 10%, Boston with 7%, Houston with 6%, OKC with 1%, Dallas with 1%, and the Pelicans with 1%. We're going to get into why some of those are wrong, and then teams like Miami, Philadelphia, Utah, Denver, Indiana, Orlando, Brooklyn, Memphis, Portland, Washington, and Sacramento all have 0%. So just to kick things off a little bit with these predictions, and this is via RPM, my issue is that, first off, Toronto over the Clippers. I mean, I know Toronto's been playing well. However, I don't see them sustaining that kind of level of play going into the bubble. I don't know their schedule. I don't have it right in front of me, but giving them 12% over the Clippers, I feel like the Clippers and the Lakers should be that 2 and 3 spot. Milwaukee definitely looking good, even though Milton said he has not shot a basketball in 3 months. And then you go down that list, Boston and Houston. Those two I'm okay with. Then OKC, Dallas, and New Orleans. I actually like OKC and Dallas at 1%. OKC and Dallas at 1%. It's the Pelicans that get me a little confused, especially when they're over teams like Miami, Philadelphia, even Utah, Denver, and that's pretty much it. Because the other teams with 0 are missing key players or didn't have the best of seasons. Especially with Zion leaving the bubble. I know he's coming back. However, missing training camp and missing scrimmage games, I'm sure it's going to be a little bit of detriment. Ben, what do you think?
Talking about New Orleans, I think, yeah, definitely. And you see kind of how much Zion has to go under physical-wise. In the beginning of the season, he was injured. He had to rehab. He had to make sure that he was walking correctly. He had to correct himself. I don't see how this is possible. I don't see how New Orleans possibly gets into the finals.
Right.
Sure, I've seen the schedule. It's ridiculously easy.
Yeah.
I think they have one team that was inside the top 8.
No. But someone did a projections. Someone did a statistics showing that Miami has the hardest schedule, which honestly it's facts because they play teams like Boston and Indiana twice. I think they have maybe have the Suns in there, but.
Well, I mean, come on. It's Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, they are missing Oladipo. They might miss Oladipo. I think he's still trying to come back and play.
Jimmy's dropping 20 on Warren.
Exactly. That's all fine and good. But New Orleans, especially with a roster of Brandon Ingram, I mean, who was an all-star. I mean, he honestly
he played incredibly
should be a
well.
candidate for most improved alongside Bam. J.J. Redick. Lonzo, Josh Hart, Zion, Jackson Hayes, who hasn't really looked the best, given that he's a rookie center. It just seems like
Drew Holiday as well.
Drew Holiday, right. And it just seems like they're just putting that out there because they are a team for a future, and on paper they look scary. Miami, on the other hand, is a 4th seed in the East.
Yeah.
Has the same record as Oklahoma.
And alright, let's be real here. Oklahoma doesn't have a better chance than Miami. Let's be totally honest. I love what Chris Paul has done, and I think personally he should take 100% of the credit. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah.
But I mean,
No, that backcourt has been revolutionary for Oklahoma, and it's been a surprise to all of us because we all thought they were going to tank.
Yeah.
But if you go down the list and see who Miami has beaten, Milwaukee, Toronto, like they haven't lost to Milwaukee or Toronto this season.
No, I mean, look, and you also have to look at the fact of they are only lost outside of like the top 6, I believe. They've only never beaten Boston.
Well, they haven't beaten Boston, the Lakers, or the Clippers.
No, but I'm talking about like in regular standings.
Got you. Okay, which is fair. Boston has a pretty solid team, and so they took an L to Boston away and home.
But even then, I'm sorry to cut you off, but even then, like, you have to look at the first game, Eric Spoelstra is out, and he had other players out. Right. The second game, I'm sure, I don't remember, but I'm sure you had
and one of the Lakers game, it was a back-to-back when they played the Suns.
Yeah, and another Lakers games they should have won because they never called a foul on anything.
Right. But not to sound too biased, I just feel like Miami should still be given a chance just because, yes, they are missing Bam and Kendrick. However, they still could come back this season, given if they do beat COVID-19 and are still able to have the antibodies and still able to rejoin. And we saw that with Derrick Jones Jr. with them. But just Miami has blew out Houston at home.
Yeah,
I think they played Oklahoma, and I can't remember if they won. I know they played Dallas and won twice. I'm just confused as why Miami gets a 0%, especially when they've shown that they can play at a high level and beat the higher teams.
Yeah.
I mean, even some teams with the 0%. Philadelphia they've been against. Utah, Indiana, Orlando, Brooklyn, Memphis. These are all teams that they've been that they've beaten. However, they aren't Sacramento. They've all beaten them.
Yeah,
and they're still given a 0%. I feel like if you're gonna give if you're gonna give Miami a 1%, it's still a little bit of an injustice. However, I can understand, given that Houston looked well after trading Clint Capella, Boston seems like they're on a roll, and then obviously the top 4 with the Clippers, Toronto, Lakers, and Milwaukee obviously being favorites to win.
Yeah, and I think just to speak on Miami going into the but going into this pandemic, Miami were looked at as the only team that can rival Milwaukee. They didn't. Philadelphia, to their credit, and
Philadelphia built their team to beat Milwaukee,
and they did, but they're still also the 6th.
Right. They built their team to beat Milwaukee, but not any other team.
Yeah, and I just Boston could beat them probably, but Miami were looked at because they were going to have that second round against them.
They were projected to play the second round before the stop of the season.
And even the great mind of Kendrick Perkins said Miami would beat them in 7 games, which that's a bit much. But
honestly though, but I think it could go to 6 or 7 games.
Definitely.
Milwaukee. I mean, they've shown that they could not stop Antetokounmpo, but kind of almost slow him down to a degree.
Yeah, because you don't stop him, you slow him down.
No, you just slow him down. It's kind of like LeBron. How do you stop him? You can't. You just slow him down. I think it's just going to be interesting to see come the restart and the beginning of the bubble, how players are going to look, especially coming back. I mean, I think we saw pictures of LaMelo looking like Denver Nuggets Melo, that skinny Melo, that killer Melo. Yeah. Definitely one of the definitely all-star potential Melo, which...
I mean, you even look at, Jokic, who has COVID-19, but he is incredibly thin for where he was.
No, he honestly looked overweight, and he dropped all this weight, and hopefully he can gain it back in muscle, because that would be incredible for him, because honestly, if you're going to discuss who's the better center, Joel or Jokic, I mean, if he could do the things that he did while staying skinny, that would be incredible. But again, just looking down this list, it's kind of difficult to see as to why a couple of these teams are even have 0% over a team like New Orleans, who struggled to even go back, be in contention for an A seed before Zion.
And even then, they still, I believe, they have to play the Blazers twice.
Yeah.
Because they're not, I don't think are they 8th seed or they're...
No, Memphis is the 8th seed.
Yeah, so they still, I believe, have to beat the Blazers twice, which is going to be a tough task, because I believe Nurkic is coming back.
Yeah.
Which, Nurkic is, all in all, we saw Hassan Whiteside this year, but if we saw Nurkic this year, I think a lot of people would see him as this really great center because before he
honestly
destroyed his leg.
Nurkic was honestly a very key part as to why the Blazers did well last year and made it so far in the playoffs. My thing is just seeing these teams above certain other teams, and yes, maybe I have a little bit of bias towards Miami. However, for Miami, I should say, I don't believe that these rankings still seem a little off to me.
Yeah, I mean, even like Toronto, like that one kind of got me because Toronto, yeah, they played well, but against, again, a team like Miami, but against other teams, they've lost. It isn't like Toronto's this world-beating team. The Clippers are. The Clippers, I think, they've beaten the best team in the NBA. They've beaten the second best team in the NBA. I'm not sure if they beat Milwaukee, but they look like a great team, and especially with load management and all that sort of idea, they could probably turn out to be like leaders.
No, yeah, for sure. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. Again, it is coming back in 11 days from when we're recording. So hopefully, things will start. We'll start getting more information and start getting more news. And honestly, hopefully, by the time the NBA starts, we'll be able to enjoy it like we did before the pause. The next topic we're going to get into is Mario Chalmers. And the only reason why I am bringing this up is because a few days ago he spoke to Hoops Hype and pretty much said, this was his quote, "I just feel like with my resume, I'm a proven winner. I'm not a bad guy in the locker room. I'm not a jerk. So I just feel like for me not even get a chance and not even get a workout or nothing like that, it's a little disheartening." Ben, do you want to jump in first and see how, just kind of break down his quote?
Okay, so I'm going to put it this way. When you have Michael Beasley being signed by teams, now, Michael Beasley can't play. Hopefully he recovers. Like I have 100% hope that he recovers from COVID.
I still believe he got it by copying from his dealer.
Well, he probably crossed the line that a lot of people did to get the food.
Yeah.
But it wasn't food.
It was something that's gonna get him hungry for food.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think Mario Chalmers, he wasn't, to a lot of people watching the big three in Miami, he was the fourth guy.
To a degree. Until maybe Shane Mattier or Ray Allen kind of stepped in and became that fourth guy, that fourth option.
But he was looked at as kind of like, and the joke was between the commentators that he was the little brother.
Yeah.
Because he was seemingly
he was the scapegoat, for sure, yeah.
He was always looked at as kind of the guy to turn to when, like...
Frustration, yes.
Yeah, and especially, like, coming off the bench and stuff like that, he was looked at as the guy to get points off the bench, not only with...
Well, he never really came off the bench.
Well, not off the bench, but, like, as a secondary option,
right.
Besides the big three. So, and they also had the greatest player of all time on their bench.
Mike Miller.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, it wasn't like he played terribly. I don't know how well he played in Memphis. I'm sure it wasn't good because he's not on an NBA team.
Well, he tore his ACL, I believe, and that's why no one has signed him. And he's bounced around Europe a little bit. I think, honestly, though, I think he's coming out with these statements because if you look at a team, I think he's very much vying a move to the Lakers and trying to get signed by the Lakers. Just because if you look at their roster, Rondo's out for a little bit,
and Rondo isn't a shooter.
Right, isn't as good as a shooter. Sure, you're losing defense if you play Chalmers, yes, but with Rondo, he's not a scoring option. Sure, he's a good facilitator, yeah, and he's pretty decent defensively. I just feel like with Chalmers, he'll add a second option for LeBron for another playmaking option.
Yeah.
Just because if you look at their guards who opted out, Avery Bradley, Rondo's injured. I mean, if you look at their other guards, Dion.
Which we all know
Dion's really not a playmaker. JR is really not a playmaker as well.
Do not disrespect the greatest player of all time.
Alright, you just said Mike Miller. Shut up.
Okay, the second greatest player of all time.
Okay. Shut up. Danny Green, who's more of a spot-up shooter, or
Yeah, he's not a playmaker. He's a spot-up shooter.
He's not. I know LeBron has taken over some of that guard duty by averaging, like, I believe it was almost, or if not, 10 assists this year. Maybe Kuzma can have a little bit of playmaking. Caruso
It's a meme.
is a meme.
I mean, he plays okay. He's not like,
he's not bad.
you know,
like
there's a reason why he's on the Lakers. It's just he's not
a spark. No, he's definitely like a spark plug or someone to come off
Yeah.
the bench and really do and like just bring a little energy coming off the bench. I feel like if the Lakers sign Chalmers, yes, it's Chalmers wanting a starting role, and sure, it's Chalmers probably wanting another shot at a championship as a third chip. But if you look at it, he's always came up in big games. I mean, if we're going back to college, when he that shot
he has
for
arguably
Kansas,
the biggest shot of all time.
right, in college hoops.
Yeah.
Or one of the most clutch shots at
Yeah.
least. Miami, I remember watching, and especially against those Eastern Conference Finals and those semifinals against Indiana, he definitely came up.
He showed up.
He shot well.
Against the Thunder in that last game, it was him and Mike Miller who really came off the bench and not off the bench, but they really came up and gave a spark to the team.
And San Antonio and against OKC in the finals as well, when they won back to back. For sure, I'm sure. If you look at his stats, I'm sure his assist averages were pretty good. I mean, it also like you also have LeBron and Wade boss to pass to, so like it's not hard to, and Ray Allen, so it's not hard to have a high assist total. However, I still feel like Mario Chalmers is a good viable option. Maybe a short term fix until Rondo comes back, possibly. Maybe until, or maybe shifting him to come off the bench or something to that degree. Another team that I was thinking about, and we mentioned them earlier, is the Miami Heat.
That'd be fun.
That'd be cool, honestly. He can wear either number 6 or number 15, I believe, because I think they're both available. I don't believe anyone has 15.
I'm sure also that Miami's going to not have anyone wear 6, because I think they want to retire LeBron.
Yeah, so he definitely can come back as 15. But I think it's just going to be interesting to see if anyone picks him up, and I think if Miami signs him, I think it's just so on the precaution that Kendrick Nunn doesn't come back or it comes back late.
And we also have another bench option,
right? I mean, it's also now you move Dragic to the starting role, and you can have Chalmers coming off the bench as another guard, and I think that's gonna also help with someone of Jimmy not having to be a ball dominant guard.
Yeah.
I mean, even though he is not always having to be the playmaker, and you can have Chalmers as that playmaker. Because if you have to also look at Miami's team, again, Dragic, Butler. I know Nunn was a playmaker.
Bam was a point center. I mean, he played.
So Bam for sure definitely came into his own as terms of ball handling and distribution. But really, I really can't think besides those four. I mean, maybe you want to say Iguodala as another playmaker as well, just to come off the bench. But but if you look at the team, you have Duncan, Tyler. I mean, Tyler's decent, but like honestly, he's a shooter, so not really looking to probably pass and more and probably shoot the ball.
Jay Crowder, they have guys who aren't really playmakers, you know.
Maybe you can, if you want to stay Kelly as well, but to be honest, she's really only good with the Kelly keeper, so that's it. So I just feel like Chalmers could step into one of those teams and really make an impact until their player comes back, or if the team wants to keep him, the team wants to keep him. Yeah. Right. What else do you think, Ben?
Well, I think it's very interesting when you look at kind of he's not he's shown that he's a good player. Is he the same level as someone that opted out? Like you look at a team like Brooklyn, who I believe had Dinwiddie out, who has Kyrie out. They could use a point guard. I mean, I'm just you have to look at kind of the teams that could use a point guard that could probably need a point guard. Rather, and he can step in and really kind of be one of their playmakers.
Right, and I for sure believe that. I think, if anything, Mario Chalmers is going to have a positive impact on whatever team just because the stuff that we've mentioned before. And also, it's for him to prove that, hey, I'm still NBA ready. I'm still NBA ready. I'm still at an NBA type level. To even if I have to come off the bench, hey, sign me. And I think maybe even Brooklyn could look at it just because they did lose Michael Beasley. I know they signed Tyler Johnson and Jamal Crawford, but just as another guard option for them. Or if maybe another one of those bubble teams wants to look at Chalmers as an option. I know I know he's vying move to the Lakers just because it could reunite with LeBron, and you could look at them as the best chance to win another title. However, if Chalmers wants to keep having an NBA career, I feel like he has to go to one of those. Just sign for whatever team offers him a contract.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're gonna move on from Chalmers. And again, for so far, whatever we've mentioned, let us know in the comments down below. If you have any, if you dispute anything, or if you think, or just to comment your opinion or something like that, let us know in the comments down below. And for sure, we'll start responding to you guys if you have any other opinions or anything like that as well. The next thing we want to talk about is the Barbershop that just recently opened up. And I'm going to speak more to it because I play more 2K, so than Ben does.
Yeah, a little forward. I don't play 2K often, so I have no idea the meme behind this. So Brandon's gonna take this.
All right, so there's a barbershop opening up, and the new meme is that it's now starting to look like the neighborhood, which is funny because it keeps reminding me of the Ronnie 2K meme when the new 2K20 neighborhood came out, when he said, "That's not the neighborhood. You guys can think whatever you want." I just think that's funny that they're pretty much having a 2K. They're pretty much taking the neighborhood and putting them inside. Think about it. You already have Pro-Am or Rec League inside as the courts in game. As the courts. Now you're opening a barbershop. Next, they need to open as a Swags or something like that, or a Foot Locker right next to it. I think that'd be funny. Or like a Gatorade facility. I think that'd just be funny as hell. And I think it's just another way for players to feel comfortable inside the bubble, not feel like they're trapped or stuck inside. I know there was a video going around where Taco and Enes Kanter were playing beach volleyball, which I'm pretty sure they dominated whoever they were playing.
Taco just has a stand.
Yeah, no.
That's all he has to do.
Yeah, literally. When Enes Kanter just stood up, just raised his hand and just to block the ball from coming from their side. So that was funny. But I feel like it's just another outlet for players just to feel a little bit normal and just feel like they're a little bit at home, even though they are stuck in these grand resorts, getting catered to, and pretty much having to do nothing but play basketball, practice and play basketball, and pretty much getting paid to stay at this resort, which I am jealous. Last topic, Ben wanted to go a little bit into Philadelphia. Not sure why, but he wanted to just bring up a couple points by Philadelphia. So Ben, take it away.
Okay. All right. This isn't sour grapes, or it could be seen as sour grapes, but I'm very, not active, but I see a lot of Twitter, and there are a lot of 76ers fans, as I think everyone should know, and they truly believe they have a chance of winning the NBA title. They well and truly believe this.
Okay.
Now, as a Miami Heat fan, of course, I'm going to have some bias towards this because we beat them 3-1 and we blew them out by 30-something points.
Yeah.
But the only player that I can see ever going into the Hall of Fame on that team, Joel Embiid. I love Josh Richardson. I think he's a great player, and they should add him to the team more. Because
he's been injured.
Yeah, that too. But you also look at, he was the only player when I think they lost to some bottom feeder team. He was the only player to stand up and say and be the leader in the locker room, which is Heat culture really. That's the only explanation. Joel Embiid is the only generational talent on that team. Ben Simmons can't shoot. He couldn't even throw a fish off of a dock. Now, if you saw how big he had to throw to, he dropped the fish. I know that doesn't mean anything. I know it doesn't. But the guy can't catch a break to shoot for anything in his life. Is he a great facilitator? Is he great with passing? Is he great with driving? Yeah. But in this NBA, when you look at players such as Russell Westbrook, such as Kyrie Irving, you know what they have that he doesn't? A shot. A shot that goes in most of the time.
I think he's too scared to shoot. Honestly, that's my opinion. He's too scared to pull from three because we see Giannis, who hasn't been that great three-point shooter, still hoisting them, and it's, he doesn't have the best percentage. I'm not sure why Ben Simmons is. I think he's afraid. I think he's afraid that the media is going to clown him because he posts all these training videos of him shooting and like, oh, look, my new weapon, my new, the arsenal or whatever. But, yeah, no. I agree in the sense that Joel Embiid is a generational talent. However, Ben Simmons does need to start hoisting them more like Giannis has because that's the only way you're going to get better. And I think, honestly, we see Giannis kind of slowly progress to having more of a shot, or at least more of a distance shot rather than, a mid-range or just driving the basket, right? But in terms of Philadelphia's chances, I think we can all agree that they built their team to beat Milwaukee, and they did. However, it's just gonna. I think it's just gonna show where they're at when they play other teams, and I think we saw that this year that they're a 6 seed compared to where they were last year. I mean, you add Al Horford,
okay, let's be real. You're paying Al Horford what, $100-something million to average.
They gave him Jimmy's contract.
Yeah, they gave him Jimmy's contract, which Jimmy didn't want to be there.
Yeah,
it makes sense, but you can go out and maybe kind of hold off that contract for someone else.
Yeah, no, I think they kind of screwed themselves with that.
Yeah, I almost forgot about Al Horford. Thank you for reminding me.
Honestly, and they built a tall lineup to beat Milwaukee because I think that's how you kind of beat Milwaukee is at their own game with putting out a tall lineup and trying to slow down Giannis as best as you can.
I mean, the one thing is you wall off Giannis. That's what Miami did. They walled him off. They put 3 players on a zone around around them to make sure.
And that's what Philadelphia did as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to agree. Like, Philadelphia doesn't look like a championship-ready team, and I think it just, honestly, I don't want to say it, but I think it has to do with the coaching. I honestly never believed in Brett Brown. I feel like he just had good players that can carry him to to the playoffs, and that's just my opinion. In my opinion, does Philadelphia maybe sneak into a second round? Sure. However, I just don't see them progressing any farther, and it really doesn't look... the future doesn't look well because I honestly believe, and a lot of NBA analysts have said this, Joel and Ben can't coexist on the same court unless Ben starts throwing threes up, and he hasn't.
Okay, and you want to know, and this isn't a joke, you want to know why I think he doesn't shoot?
Why?
You remember that Jimmy Kimmel clip where he has this huge basketball and he's shooting at a huge hoop and he airballs it? He got clowned so hard for that. I think his confidence is taken such a battering for doing that. And also, he's from Australia. I don't know if that means anything.
Nah, that totally doesn't. That's what are you saying?
Well, Kyrie Irving is from Australia, and he also believes in flat Earth and stuff. So they might be hitting up Michael Beasley. That might be what's happening. But I mean, even okay, fine. They have one of the best starting 5s, allegedly. Name 3 people off their bench.
Korkmaz, Thibault.
I'll give you one. Michael Scott. You want to know why I only know Michael Scott?
The Office. All right. Yeah, you're right. Never mind. Yeah. No. Yeah. Again, they sacrificed their bench for a starting 5. I think it's also in the hopes to allure those veteran talents that are going to take minimum contracts or whatever that we've seen in the past. However, yeah, I kind of have to agree with you with Philadelphia here. Maybe some of your points about Joel Embiid being the only Hall of Famer is a little bit outlandish in my opinion.
Do you see Tobias Harris being a Hall of Famer?
Okay.
Your honest opinion.
No, I think he'll be a very good player. But I think if he wins a chip or has more NBA accolades to his name, because how little you need to get into the Hall of Fame, I definitely see him. If he starts racking up accolades.
I mean,
Ben Simmons is a multiple-time All-Star. He's a Rookie of the Year. He's made it to the playoffs. I'm sure he's on some All-NBA team or something like that. I could see him.
I mean, you can argue Al Horford's already kind of there.
Yeah.
But for the team that they have, I know it's an outlandish claim to make, but the thing is, I only see Joel Embiid being one of those players that we look back on and say, wow. Because I've never been kind of so shocked and surprised about Ben Simmons' game, nor Tobias Harris.
No, me neither.
And if they really wanted to go with length, they shouldn't have given up Boban Marjanovic. Because the dude's like 7'3",
yeah,
and he can do everything. I mean, to be honest, he can really, like... And I love how the Mavericks have become like Euro Team FC. Like, they really turned it around. They really put like every good European player, excluding Giannis, on that team. So, like, I mean, well, besides that, I'm not going to talk about the Mavericks, but I don't see them. And they screwed with Cap because no one's going to want to take Al Horford. He's 30-something.
Right.
They're going to have to probably give Joel Embiid the Pat Mahomes contract. Not the Pat Mahomes contract, but the Pat Mahomes style contract in the NBA.
Right.
Who's going to take Tobias Harris if he falls off a cliff, which, God willingly, he doesn't. But
right. No, Tobias Harris is a good player. It just depends on his level of production because I feel like he's sometimes a hit or miss type of guy. Given nights, he's a little bit of in my opinion, a little bit streaky. When he's on, like he's incredible.
Yeah.
But again, I kind of agree with some of your points about Philadelphia. That's gonna wrap up today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. Again, if you have any comments, anything you want to dispute, if you want to voice your own opinion, let us know in the comments section down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with anyone, your grandmother, your dead cat, just anyone really.
Your dog's brother's sister's mother.
Exactly. Like, I don't know. Your deaf grandpa, like, whatever.
You'll enjoy this podcast. Your deaf grandpa would definitely enjoy this podcast.
So, again, make sure you like and subscribe. Again, let us know your opinions down below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.